Hey, thank you for this comment that reads, Divine Counsel, LOL, that's rich. Keep fabricating stuff that's not found anywhere in the Bible. The Divine Counsel is explicitly and directly referenced in the Bible. Elohim nitzav ba'dat el bekerev Elohim yishpot. God took his stand in the Divine Council amidst the gods he judges. That's Psalm 82:1. That is a divine council court scene. And this is the overwhelming academic consensus. And there are other references as well. You can look at Jeremiah 23:18, where Jeremiah rhetorically asks, have you stood in the council of Adonai? Because prophets could sometimes stand in the divine council or witness the proceedings. We also see that in 1 Kings 22, where Micaiah witnesses a divine council scene where God asks for volunteers from the divine council to go deceive Ahab to his death. Sometimes prophets could actually take part in the council, as in Isaiah 6, where Isaiah volunteers to go be commissioned by the divine council. If we look in the Septuagint translation of Psalm 82:1, we see them using the plural of the word for divine, which would be adat elim, and that would exactly match the Ugaritic designation for the divine council, which was headed up by the Northwest Semitic high deity El and their consort, and comprised their 70 offspring. Interestingly enough, we see an oblique reference to this in Deuteronomy 32:8 and 9, the original version of the text that we know from the Septuagint and from the Dead Sea Scrolls, where it says, Elyon, the Most High, divided up the nations according to the number of the Bnei Elohim, the children of God. And what was that number? This is probably based on the table of nations from Genesis 10, which has 70 nations, which match the 70 sons of Asherah, or children of El. And Adonai, in verse 9, receives as their inheritance his people, Jacob, his allotted share. In other words, this preserves an archaic distinction between the Most High God Elyon and Adonai, who is receiving the land of Israel as their inheritance. Until the exilic period, Adonai's purview, sovereignty, was limited on earth to the nation of Israel. They were limited in the power that they could exercise outside of that in the pre-exilic period, which is why Naaman, when he goes back to Syria, has to take 2 cartloads of Israelite soil so that he can worship Adonai, the God who is only accessible on Israelite soil. That's why David, while Saul is pursuing him, is close to the border of Israel and says that your men are forcing me to worship other gods. In other words, if you force me outside of the land of Israel, I cannot worship Adonai because he's outside of what he calls the inheritance of Adonai. And then we have the exilees sitting alongside the river in Babylon saying, how can we sing the song of Adonai in a foreign land? And then Psalm 82 affects the universalization of Adonai by having Adonai judge the gods for negligence, condemn the other gods of the divine council, the patron deities of the other nations of the earth. So Milcom, Chemosh, Kos, the other patron deities of the earth, deposes them, condemns them to mortality, and then the psalmist cries out in the last verse, Kuma Elohim, rise up, O God, for you will inherit all nations. So Adonai's original inheritance from Deuteronomy 32:8 and 9 of the land of Israel is now expanded to all the nations of the earth. While God was sovereign over the gods in the heavens, on earth their political purview was limited to Israel, and after Psalm 82, it is expanded, making Adonai God over all the earth. So the overwhelming academic consensus is that the divine council was one of the governing frameworks for ancient Israelite and Judahite understanding of the nature of the heavens and the sociality of the gods. And it gets renegotiated as we get into the Persian and the Greco-Roman period, as the gods for most people are squished down into this angelic category and all of them become angels, but we still see them referred to as gods in the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the New Testament, even in some rabbinic literature. And there are a lot of different books and papers that you can look at if you want to learn more about the divine council. But the notion that it is not found anywhere in the Bible is just pure and utter nonsense.